Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself for starting the anti-SJW stuff, and that may have had some influence on the election and Trump and all that. I think that you could, much more accurately blame the establishment, the powers that be, for creating the kind of
Oh, sure.
miserable economic conditions that Trump was able to exploit. But
Yeah,
that being said,
I would never be so conceited as to think like, man, if I hadn't made that video, Trump wouldn't have got elected. But I don't know.
Right,
I
right.
guess part of me is that conceited. So never mind.
Well, that being said, and not to dredge up any old drama or anything like that, but I do remember there was one guy in the skeptic community, Dusty Smith, who kind of was trying to raise the alarms about this, and he actually put out a video that I think was called "How the Alt-Right Took Over the Skeptic Community" back in 2016, and he just got completely. His whole channel was basically like destroyed from what I remember. His whole career.
I was one of the ones that fought him on that shit.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
I kind of know. So
in fact, I'm still blocked, TJ, on my personal Twitter account because I remember you blocked every single person that followed Dusty. Again, just in retrospect, I mean, obviously putting aside egos and all that crap, do you think he was right about that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that Dusty was right. I think that, it was sometimes, being that first mover is not really advantageous. Sometimes it means you get all the heat. And obviously he got all the heat for being a little ahead of the curve on that one. Oftentimes we punish people for being ahead of the curve. So that kind of happened to Dusty. So, I feel bad that did, but, he was right. And, he should definitely get credit, I think, long-term for being right about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily for him, I think he's doing fine. I sometimes watch his show. Seems like he gets a good amount of live viewers and that he's bounced back. But yeah, I do remember, obviously, I don't know how familiar, if at all, you are with Zach and I's channel, but we do cover a lot of kind of like intra-commentator beefs and drama and all that stuff. So I specifically remember that being one of the first real.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't know. I don't really get into that kind of stuff too much.
Sure.
I don't really care about it too much. I mean, like. It's because, once again, I'm not too enamored with internet personalities.
Right.
I like doing it. I like being one. I personally am not that fascinated with it. I don't know. It's never been something that I cared about.
Well, when Dusty, was making those points, and when so many people were kind of pillaring him, including yourself, for making those points, and now you say you agree with him. So at the time, did you genuinely disagree with him, or was it more of just like an ego, like, fuck this guy for calling me out, I'm gonna, try to destroy his channel, or were you
there was no urge to destroy Dusty's channel or anything like that. It was just, I wanted to put him in, I thought it was I thought he was totally out of line. I don't really remember all the specifics, but I remember just kind of feeling like, this is hyperbolic, histrionic nonsense. He's totally off base on this. This is not how things are going to happen. This is like outrageous, grandstanding shit. He's just trying to appeal to this new demographic and blah, 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 blah. Because, it was obvious there was like a nascent sort of left demographic, and there's obviously left-wing grifters as well. Right. And I was like, well, I think he's just grifting this new like left movement that's coming up. And so I was like, I kind of even called him out on Twitter, like, yeah, you just grifting, blah, 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 blah. But, ultimately he just saw something that none of us had fucking seen yet. And, he got shit for it. I gave him shit for it. I don't really regret giving him shit for it, even though I know I was wrong, but like at the time I thought I was right.
Yeah.
And I behaved in accordance with my principles. But yeah, in retrospect, I was wrong about that.
Yeah. All I was getting at was that, like, while you were doing that content, you weren't like consciously trying to bolster right-wing arguments necessarily. You just didn't
no, I don't think so. I mean, there was okay, so there is a kind of a fuzzy line here, I think, where there was obviously a red wave in 2015, 2016, right? There was this, glut of sort of right-wing mentalities flooding spaces that used to kind of be inculcated from that. And, did that influence me? Yes. I didn't have the political awareness at the time to really see past it, because I was still in that very like dichotomy politics headspace of like Democrats versus Republicans, left versus right. And I think there was it was far more of like, and I kind of felt like, yeah, you know, a lot of people I think started this way. It's like, I appeal to both sides. I do content that works for both sides of the political aisle, right? And, you know, you still see people like that. Like Shoe on Head is a good example of someone who does that. But at the time, there was a lot of people doing that. It was me and, you know, Sargon of Akkad. A lot of these people were like, yeah, you know, I do content that kind of works for the left and the right. And, you know, it seems like a lot of those people realize like, I make a little bit more money on the right. And they kind of just got pulled in that direction by the financial considerations. And then other people kind of went a little bit down that road. And then were like, they kind of like, wait, what the fuck am I doing? Where am I? No. And pulled away, you know, and that would be like your, you know, I don't know, like your Chris Reagans or, you know, whoever. People who kind of like went down that path a little bit and were like, whoa, no. This is fucking crazy shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of like that. You know, I walked down that path a little bit and I kind of looked around at where I was and I'm like, this is not who I am. I shouldn't be. I don't want to become this fucking grifting presence on YouTube. I would like to be able to be my honest, genuine self because that's what I got into this for. That's what I think all of my people that I idolize did. I think George Carlin, who I venerate, did that. So I pulled back. I'm like, no, this isn't who I am. I'm not going to go down this path. But I felt the tug, and it was a financial tug, but it's also a tug of, you know, when I say this kind of thing, I get more audience. And on YouTube, you know, one of the things YouTubers are definitely conditioned to do, definitely conditioned to want, is more viewers. Give me more viewers. And a lot of people get caught up in that get more viewers game to the point where they realize like, oh, well, the way I can get the most viewers is if I say these things. And so then they surrender any sort of autonomy or independent thought to this urge to get the biggest possible audience. And,
sometimes
you know,
it could even be kind of subconscious, right? You know,
sure.
Oh
Yeah. I mean, like you could totally do this without even ever having an awareness that you're doing it. I think for a lot of people, it probably is like that. They never have that moment where they wake up and look around and say like, what the fuck? Where am I? What am I doing? What am I saying? This is horrible. I have to fucking pull back.
And those people probably didn't start out from as solid of a, you know, kind of intellectual or ideological foundation, I would say. You know, they just kind of came in here saying whatever or throwing whatever they could at the wall, seeing what sticks, and then they go with what sticks. But I think someone like yourself, definitely myself and Zach, you know, we came into this with a very strong ideological foundation, or at least, you know, some general values and principles. And
I think that really what I would say to a lot of people is like, we need to stop venerating view counts, sub counts, things like that, and start venerating authenticity. Because I would, you know, I don't know, it'd be much better if you were to like, if the person who you're listening to is speaking the truth from the core of their being, I think that that's a lot healthier of a thing to be listening to, even if it's something like totally, in your opinion, wrong. Like I'd prefer somebody who I could go to and listen to, and it's like, oh my God, everything they're saying is just a travesty. They're totally insane. But you know what? I believe the sincerity of them.
Fair.
Versus someone who is like, wow, I agree with everything they say, but it seems like pandery bullshit to me.
I hate that. Exactly.
And you know, I don't know. That kind of I don't know. I think we need to prize authenticity a little more. That's another thing I would say as far as, you know, changing people's mentalities a little bit. Yeah. Because this thing where, you know, people just want to be agreed with. I mean, that was another very disconcerting thing I realized about the YouTube audience and how it shapes content creators. Because we always talk about this in terms of how creators influence the audience, but no one ever wants to talk about the opposite. And I find that the influence that audience has on creators is way more profound than the influence that creators have on audience. Right. You know, but no one seems to. I repeat this talking point so often, but I feel like no one ever really sinks their teeth into it very well. But you know, it's like you respond. You're trained. You're conditioned to respond to what gets the biggest pop. If you go out there and you say, you know, I hate Mexicans, and the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kind of hard to resist the urge to say I hate Mexicans, regardless of your personal feelings. You're like, man, I really want that crowd pop. I really want the drug of that high of everybody fucking loves me because I said this shit, even if it's horrible shit. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that that needs to be taken into account, and the audience needs to be held more accountable for the shit they do. You know, we always talk, accountability for creators. How about accountability for these horrible fucking audiences?